Welcome back to using third-person pronouns. Let's continue by looking at the dative case. Because the farmer loves his daughter, he gave her many gifts. In order to write her into Latin, I need to know its antecedent, which of course is daughter, and daughter is singular and feminine. This means that my pronoun must also be singular and feminine. In the original sentence where daughter appears, she is the direct object of the sentence. That word will be in the accusative case. But her is not the direct object. Her is the indirect object. And for that reason, when I write her, I must write it in the dative case. Quod agricola suam filiam amat, ei multa dona dabat. Notice that we use suum in this sentence because the farmer is loving his own daughter. So that's why I have the suum there. And then the her is written with ei. Romans love to put the dative case as the very first item in the clause. So you can see the ei there. To her, many gifts he gave, or he gave many gifts to her. The citizens of the land were unhappy, and so the king gave them new laws. Them is the indirect object of its part of the sentence. So when I write them into Latin, it has to be in the dative case. What's its antecedent? Of course, its antecedent is citizens. Citizens is plural, and the noun citizen in Latin is masculine. So when I write my dative form for them, I will need to write the masculine dative plural form. Let's see what it looks like. Civis terrae in felices erant, itaque rex eis novas leges dadet. The citizens of the land were unhappy in felices, itaque, and so the king to them gave new laws. So that's how that works. Let's move on to take a look at the accusative case. The farmer gave his daughter many gifts, but she did not like them. In this particular sentence, them has as its antecedent gifts. And we notice that in this sentence, both the antecedent gifts and the pronoun that is referring to it, them, are each the direct object of the sentence. Therefore, gifts is going to be in the accusative case, and so is the pronoun them going to be in the accusative case. Not because gifts is, but because in its clause, it is also the direct object. Which form of the direct object do we choose for the pronoun? The one that has the same number as gifts, which is plural, and the same gender. The Latin word for gifts, donum, doni, is neuter, and so I will need to use the accusative neuter plural, ea. Agricola filiae multa dona dadet, se ea non amat. The farmer gave his daughter many gifts, but them she did not like. The slave loves the daughter of the queen, but she doesn't love him. This is a really good example because it shows us again that the antecedent of the pronoun him and the pronoun him will not have to be written in the same case. In fact, they can't be written in the same case. When I use slave in this sentence, I have to put it in the nominative case because it's the subject of loves. But when I use the word him, which is clearly referring to slave, although I must make it singular and masculine just like slave, I can't write it in the nominative form like I wrote slave because it isn't doing the action of loving. It's the object of the love. So it has to be written in the accusative case. This sentence looks like this in Latin. Servus filiam reginae amat, sed eum filia non amat. The servant loves the daughter of the queen, but the daughter doesn't like him. Also, we have the accusative case being used as an object of a preposition. You can easily have a pronoun as an object of a preposition, like in this sample sentence. When the dogs are sleeping, you cannot walk between them. Them is referring to the dogs, which is plural and masculine. In its part of the sentence, it is the subject. So when we see dogs, it actually has to be written in the nominative plural. But as the object of the preposition between, the pronoun them has to be written in the accusative plural. It's masculine because dogs is masculine, and it's plural because dogs is plural. But it's accusative just because it's the object of the preposition. Finally, we have the ablative case. Mostly we use the ablative case as an object of a preposition. Because the farmer and his family live near a forest, they often walk in it. I really am excited to talk about this example with you because it shows us something that we haven't really seen before. It is the pronoun that we're focusing on. How are we going to write it into Latin? First of all, we have to understand what its antecedent is, which of course is forest. Forest is a Latin noun that is from first declension, which makes it feminine. Therefore, when I write the word it into Latin, which is referring to the forest, it must be a feminine pronoun. It's like I'm writing her, but I have to translate it as it in English. This is odd to wrap our heads around because when we think of it, we think of a noun that has a neuter gender. But remember that Latin is different. Nouns that have a neuter gender, like forest in English, they're an it. In Latin have a specific gender, feminine. So the pronoun that refers to them must also be in the same gender. We're still going to translate it as it because that's what English does. But we have to write it in the same gender as its antecedent, which in this sentence is a feminine noun. Why is it not in the accusative case like its antecedent silwam? Because it is the object of the preposition in, and that requires the ablative case. Let's see if you can determine the gender, number, and case of a pronoun. Following this segment of the lesson, you will see several different questions, each of which has a sentence in English. You will have to be able to identify the pronoun in that sentence and its antecedent, and you will need to determine the correct gender, number, and case for the pronoun. Good luck!